CAC was so antagonistic that they declined to do that. So I think it depends on, how you're presenting yourself and how you're working with your districts.
Well, so can we agree to go to our districts and ask? Yes. We can all just go ask and see if they'll do it. I'll call. I mean, I would ask the question, and they will or they won't. But at the very minimum, we could ask all of them if we can send out a flyer with everybody with an IEP.
See, I
Yeah,
have a
we can.
I mean,
we've already
with my director, so
pretty much
we'll
arranged
just go
for
ahead
that.
and
That's supposed to be in place.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, so my director will just go ahead and do it. I mean, I just have to email. When I emailed her the survey, she was thinking of different ideas of how to get it to the kids, to the parents.
And we could always direct the chairperson to send out an email to all 10 superintendents 10 days prior to please do an Ed Connect or whatever phone system that you have to do this announcement. You're such an
well, because we did.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, again, I would just call my director, and I don't think there would be any problem with that at all. And you're right. I mean, I've only done like 9 back to schools, and it's killing me.
Right.
And so I can't even imagine 22 schools, especially putting them on the same nights, which is too many. But
I get help. There's a lot of supportive parents that help me out.
So I will volunteer to get a hold of the regional center and ask them and get flyers to them or emails to them. We have a good relationship with them. And then ask them if they can, and
can you send something in to them?
And then I'll ask how we can figure out who their contact person is and how we can get our flyers out, because that would be mostly to the little ones coming in.
Yeah, because IRC has this, and they're having Disability Sports Festival, Mom Support, and they're having different the cycle of epilepsy. They're having board meetings, and I'm pretty sure they could include CAC at the West End is having a resource fair.
I like it. Well, no, we're talking about inclusion right now.
Well, I'm sorry, but whatever the topic is, I'm pretty sure they would include it.
I can also get flyers over to Casaclina if they're invited. Yeah. And the local Down syndrome support group, I can get out to their people.
Good.
So somebody else.
we do at Kaiser. We drop them off at Kaiser, Dr. Curry's office.
Dr. Causey, the neurologist, is always open to have flyers in his office.
Well, I think that's really good. That's good community involvement. Doctors' offices and
yeah. And then connected. Doesn't cost anything. You're not killing a tree. We're going green.
And then we're going to go ahead and go to D4, which is parent workbook.
Parent handbook.
I'm sorry, parent handbook.
Who makes the flyers for this? You do? I do? I make a flyers. I didn't look at. You'll make flyers for the not transition, the inclusion?
That's why we need information. That's why we need to give her the information.
6 weeks in advance. Because once I get them, we have over 15,000 flyers that we copy. And once I receive them and have them, I send them to our transition students and actually count them out per my matrix that I have. So the kids get to work and get paid and they count them out. But sometimes, depending on what the teacher has for them, it could take a week to 2 weeks on their part, not knowing, what's on their agenda. So that's why
exactly 6 weeks.
Today will be 6 weeks. Today.
Yeah. So we need to have the information in by the end of this week then? Is that what we decided?
Yes, pretty nice.
And she also
And
gives
the
them
more,
translated
more
Spanish.
descriptive and what, if you can write something on the flyer, that really tells about the presentation, people are more likely to come than if you just kind of say, well, we'll just talk about this. Give them a reason. We want to make it sound.
A little hook? Give them a
Yeah.
hook on preschool life and elementary life? Okay.
There are 4 different guideline manual, we got some there too.
What's from Ventura County?
Ventura in there, there's Riverside, there's, so they're all different ones, so I don't know how
Martina, given the time and you have a requirement to do, I have to provide notification and you need to do public input, would you like to perhaps table this item until a later meeting? Because, I mean, it really would require a lot of.
We'll just go ahead and discuss it briefly. This is the parent handbook. We've been discussing it for several months again, dating back to April. I think we tabled it because there was no quorum. So if you have a chance, look it over. There's different districts. I got Ventura County. And can we take these home and glance through them?
I have no problem with it, but I don't have enough for everybody. And
Yeah.
you could go online too, and
Right.
on the main ones, it's Riverside, it's Ventura, there's,
And that's where we got it, was online.
And, you know, developing a handbook for parents.
this would be television.
So you want us to review
Yeah.
this?
Review it and bring back any questions, any suggestions.
Okay. And this is online already?
Yes,
Not on our,
No.
yeah.
not on our website, but if you
Whatever
go to
you
that
see on
SELPA's
this.
website.
Yeah, we don't have one.
Oh, okay. This is a model.
Right, that's the model. I got Ventura County
This is
only
because you
I-
want to make one of these for ours, so just look through what we have and make comments.
Yeah, there's
about it.
different forms in here, different suggestions. So, you know, we could find topics and we could find different scenarios that would help our parents.
You said you have, okay, so we have the same ones then.
Yeah.
No, I
You
understand
all
what
use
you
a different
They
one.
have
Oh, I was gonna say, I have Ventura.
Why do I have Santa Barbara?
Riverside,
Santa Barbara has so
Riverside.
many issues. What do I use Santa
You want to
Sorry,
trade?
we get Santa Barbara.
Trade yours?
Okay, so let's just take
you San Joaquin for Santa Barbara.
special treat.
Oh, good.
Okay, and
I hate being short.
Sorry.
real briefly, Joan Riley, number 5, D5.
I'm trying to think. Basically, you have a copy of the Brown Act in your binder, and we are required to follow the rules of the Brown Act. The Brown Act is California's open meeting law, and it basically states that the actions of a public legislative body be taken openly and deliberations conducted openly. So it just requires that all discussion, debate, and be conducted in a public forum, so where the public is invited to attend the meeting. The Brown Act meeting is essentially a meeting held in public, although it's not the public's meeting. The special education community advisory committees, even though we don't think of ourselves perhaps as public legislative bodies because we don't necessarily have decision-making power or pass things, are included in the Ed Code as a body that was created through statute. So that's the reason why this particular law applies to us.
Yeah, and very briefly, last year we had an attorney here that WESELPA provided, and they went through the guidelines of the Brown Act. And if you are interested, we could ask Joan Riley to bring the attorney back and give us an overview of the
Sam
Brown Act.
Crow, that's a board member of Casa Cleana and a board member of OMSD, he said he would do a training for free.
Oh, okay.
And he's very diverse and
So I was just going to go over a few of the important items, just as particularly because we have some new members. So the only exception, to the Brown Act is for advisory committees that are composed of members that are less than a quorum, unless that committee is a standing committee identified in the bylaws. So if you had an ad hoc committee that had less than a quorum of the members, that they would serve in an advisory committee and the Brown Act would not apply. However, the standing committees, because they are identified in our bylaws, do have to follow the Brown Act rules.
Right.
Yes, they are subject to the Brown Act. There is, the definition of meeting is any time you are congregating, all coming together, at least, you know, a majority of you at the same time and place. Now, there's certain exceptions to that, so that, you know, if you all happen to show up at Casa Colina's conference, you are not in violation of the Brown Act, because the Brown Act does indicate that there are exceptions, so that if you attend open, publicized meetings of another local agency, then you're not in violation of the Brown Act. If you are attending a social or ceremonial function, let's say there's an awards night, you know, you're not in violation of the Brown Act. And also any conferences or other public gatherings. The only caveat to that is you are not in violation of the Brown Act as long as you do not engage in any discussion of business that's within the jurisdiction of this body. So, you know, you can't talk about things that you'll later be taking action or deciding upon. But, you know, you can be there and talk about how your kids are doing in school today, and that's not a problem.
Well, Joan, we're gonna have an issue then with the standing committee, because there's not gonna be a quorum.
We don't
Sorry, I
have a
didn't hear
quorum.
you.
We don't have a quorum for the local plan review, we don't have a quorum for the art and learning contest. But what
You don't have to.
Neither do they have chairs.
You were just saying
Martin
that
says to
for
appoint
A,
chairs and standing
you have to
committee.
have a quorum.
No, what I
They can't
said
meet.
was standing committees are subject to the Brown Act because they are established in our bylaws.
So we don't need a quorum for the standing committee?
No.
So
Once you have a meeting of the standing committee, you need a quorum of the members.
Of the
So if
standing
you have-
committee, so that's what we're
But
saying.
you don't need
If
a
you have
quorum
four
of the
people-
entire
If you
body.
have 4 people in the standing committee, then you need 2 of them to be there at the standing committee meeting. It's not the whole group.
So depending on what the other 2 people choose.
You have to go by how the bylaws are written. And the bylaws, you have to have a quorum.
You have to have a quorum
You
of
have to
this
have a quorum of the
entire
amount of
group
seats.
to take an action. So, also, effective January 2009, because of you know, different advancements in technology, they did amend the Brown Act to address serial communications, and this is typically communications from one member to another member, and that member talks about the same thing to another member, and particularly because of emails, this is very easy to violate the Brown Act by sending out an email where you're discussing the business that should be discussed at the meeting in public, you know, through via your email. So I have to advise you not to email one another about, you know, subjects that you're going to be discussing here. You know, if you email Martina and just Martina on a subject, perhaps, you know, that would be fine. If you just email me, that's okay. But also be careful about forwarding an email you get from another member, because you don't know who else might forward it, and then inadvertently you're going to be in violation. Basically, there are a number of agenda requirements. At least 72 hours before a regular meeting, agenda must be posted, and it must specify the time and location of the meeting, and it must be posted in an area accessible to the public, and we do achieve that by posting it right outside this building. And no action can be taken on an item that isn't on the posted agenda. Every agenda for regular meetings have to provide an opportunity for members of the public to address the legislative body. So that's for regular meetings. Meetings can be called in the event of an emergency. However, an emergency is defined as a work stoppage, a crippling activity, or other activity that severely impairs public health, safety, or both. So I don't know that that section would truly apply to us. They also have a section on closed session, certain topics that you can discuss in closed session. Again, those are very limited, have to do with property negotiations, conferences with your legal counseling regarding existing or pending legislation, personnel, liability,